passing, we have the freedom to
Hello everyone, and good afternoon, or whatever time it is for you. Good to see you again, or have you on chat. I've done quite a bit of a break, because I actually had COVID. My kid had COVID, the other kid and my wife didn't, but you know, there's these COVID restrictions and everything. And then a couple of us were sick before. I had a dental surgery as well, so yeah, a lot was going on. So yeah, really looking forward in working on godot-playfab again today. There are a couple of great news. Not sure how many of you already in and listening. But yeah, I'll just walk you through the state right now, and we'll probably do this again later for everyone who's joining in. Okay, so let's get things started. So, some of you might have seen a bit of a change on the project site. You can't see it here, but yeah, maybe you're following me on Twitter. I have got a contributor, and that is our Godot community celebrity Lancia Spark, aka Christoph Klestil. He is working on Cardbob, Cardbob Revival that is. Gonna do some advertising for him, because he actually released it to itch and you can play it there. It's a roguelike. He's doing streaming as well on his channel. If you like Godot development, you should totally follow him. Yeah, what did he contribute? He did contribute the new logo, which is great because it is so much nicer. The original logo was similar to that, but he improved it so much. It's just the little things, right? That coders like I with my Coda graphics just can't do, right? I mean, I don't even see this until it's done that this is so much better, right? Essentially, he made the right side crisper and yeah, and introduced the spacing in between. It's so simple, but you know, you have to have the mind to do this, right? So when we look at the close pull request, I think that makes sense to, where is it? To show you just the difference. Oh, that's not the right one. Where is it? So here we go. Yeah, it has his face in it. So I don't want to spoil it if it's changed. So let's go for the logo. So this is one version of it, and this is actually the splash screen. Ah, here we go. No, delete it. So this is how it used to look, right? And we can do this here. Oh, this was some. So you know, you can see this, that there was no space and it was like blurry, right? Because what I did was I essentially used the SVG export of the Godot logo, made it the orange of playfab, and then cut the playfab logo in half and put it down here. And Christoph made this. Awesome. Okay, so he also added a splash screen. So this is the black and white version, which I love, and I asked him to keep it. But the splash screen I'm gonna use in the editor is that one. Actually gonna close the editors so you can see it when the editor opens. It's just like, it's something that is not well, super important, but I like it, right? Not everyone will actually see it, but I will see it every time I'm firing up the editor, which I'm doing now. This is so awesome. I love it. Love it. Thank you, Lindsys. It's been awesome. Okay, so this is the one change. Excuse me. So I was also thinking about what is necessary for the launch, right? And one feature just merged before Godot, before the new logo, was the implementation of the event system. So with playfab, you can stream and integrate events, and this is very deeply integrated in playfab, because if you haven't used it before, in playfab every action essentially that you do as a user or as an API user, that's on the server side, the admin, or the client side, is generating events, right? And you can potentially see those coming in. So suppose I want to launch the game and I log in. So you can actually see this here, right? And that is pretty awesome, I think, because it helps you a lot on analyzing what is going on in your game. So this is super important. By the way, please do ask questions in chat if you have any. So there's essentially two ways of using events, right? So as you can see, there's already some built-in, like logged in events, so things that the API does, triggers events, as I said before, but you can also trigger them yourself. But the event system is twofold. There's play stream events. Those are the ones that you will actually be able to see in the screen, right? And you will be able to react to those automatically. So if you go to automation and rules, you could set up a rule that reacts to a specific event, right? So like these are the built-in ones, but you can also react to your own events. They usually start with this or custom dot. You know, yeah, see? These are the ones that I have implemented in the demo for you to see. So I can react on that. I can specify a condition when it will trigger or not, and then add an action like sending an email, execute an Azure function, for example, which is super awesome because then I can do an Azure function and do whatever I want as a reaction in actual code, in backend code. So super powerful. But I also can use this to work with data. So I can actually run queries against those. So you can already see those events popping up here, right? And I can query for those. Cool. Yeah, you can do quite a lot with that. Okay, if you want to know more about that, I'm happy to tell you. Otherwise, I would show you that how you can use that. Title overview. Play stream monitor. So let's put this to the side. And here we just do a normal. Whoops. We want to. So this is. Why is this not working? What's going on? Not authenticated? What? Entity token expired? Oh, interesting. Supposedly I do have a bug here. Probably with how I save the login data or something like that. I have no idea, but good to see. By the way, open user data folder. This is a trick I learned from Lencius. Yeah. So we're gonna delete this. That is curious. So, discovering bugs that I'm obviously introduced, but I think it only surfaces it because I haven't been able to work on it for two weeks. Very interesting. Okay. So great. Now I have a time bug. Those are always the best. I have to wait a week to make it happen. Oh god. Okay. This is something that I need to jot down. But you know, you see the stuff happening here. And yeah, as I said, we have telemetry events, right? Play stream events that you can see. This should pop up any second. As you can see, this is not full real time. So never, ever base any UI interaction on those events, right? It's for tracing things and for non-real time ability to react to something. There is another event type that works exactly the same from an API perspective, right? But it's not shown as a playstream event and you cannot react to it. So it's pure for data collection. And that is called telemetry event. So you will not see this pop up here, right? So you saw this, right? So I'm clicking this multiple times and you can see there's actually being something sent. I click this once and you will see it appear here. Okay. So what you might also see is that there's this v2 tag here, and here it is not. So playfab introduced a version 2 API at some point, and some of the internal stuff still works on the old API. I only implemented the new thing because the old one is really not scalable and you should not be using it. So I just disregarded it at all. To find more information on how to implement it, I've also created the first bits of documentation. So you can find this in the docs, obviously, but if you scroll down, there's usage guide and examples, see the user documentation, and here I have an event topic that explains when you should be using what differences are, here the use configuration, how you do this, and flushing events. I also introduced a possibility to, or it's not necessarily a possibility, it is the default behavior is that events that you send will not be sent immediately, right? Because the new event system, in contrast to the old one, is meant to send multiple events at once. That is first for API cost reasons, right? Because every request to the API costs something. And also in terms of size of the HTTP request. So for example, in a mobile scenario, it makes sense to batch requests anyways, right? Because you have the HTTP overhead and you have users pay for this on the go, potentially. And then also the ingestion amount. There's a limit of how many API calls you can do and how many events on the old you can ingest at one time, right? If you super massively heavy ingest events, you can totally do this with the new API because the systems behind that are built in a way that you can set one request with 100 events, for example, and they can actually work with it. That's why batching is included. Lancius actually made a good case for persistence, so I will likely persist events on disk and flush them essentially from disk, right? Because if the game crashes or something, then you really want your events to actually be sent, right? If at all possible. So, for example, on the next restart, you will get your events sent like the first thing after login. All right. Yeah. So that's done. So this was the most important and most asked feature for actually using godot-playfab, right? Because now I have everything in place. Then you can do any API request, or you can build any API request either yourself into godot-playfab, but there is also a method that you can do, or multiple methods that you can actually do requests to playfab. It also works so multiple methods that way, because with the event system I also had to implement another authentication method, and that is entity token authentication. You can see this in game. So when we start this login, so you have the session ticket that is basically for all the legacy API stuff that that you're using, and for all the newer APIs you will need an entity token that you need to send along with the request, right? And I haven't had entity token authenticated requests before, so I had to introduce this as well. So now I can show you this in code. So I now have a couple of methods. So outline. Oh, by the way, as you can see, I switched to VS Code because it's so much more nicer to work with. I can like follow calls, for example. So I press F12. This is not something I could could do previously. Oh, yeah, we actually have the methods I was looking for. So we have a post with session also, that's basically the legacy one with the session token, and then we have the newer ones with entity authentication. That is basically the same, it's just that it sets an X entity token instead of an X authorization token. That's it. I could probably also make this smaller, but hey. Good. That is about it. The next thing I introduced is, or I'm currently working on, is unit tests, but before we go down that path, I wanted to show you, or I was already hinting at that I was aiming for my first release. So my first, I want people to actually use it, right? Obviously. That's why I work on it. And to make it usable, I more or less have everything in place, but it needs to be better. So what I did, I actually created a milestone, right, to be working on. So when we click on milestones here, this is my 0.1 release. This is when I will kind of make it an official package. So what do I want to do? So first I want to build a automated test suite, and that is what I'm currently working on, because that is super important when you add new features. You want to be able to unit test everything, because it's such a pain to manually test everything. Particularly my serialization code is I would call it fragile, right? Because first it does not cover all the cases, and I will be hitting new things that I did not think about, and with unit tests I can think better about it and test it better. And also it's a challenge because it's very complicated. I want it to be easily testable and automatically. So these systems, for example, I want to actually unit test. And then there is integration tests that I also want to do, because I'm building all these tests, all these requests, right? And it's a pain and a chore to actually test them, right? And when you change something, you don't always test everything. So I want unit tests to be runnable and actually be run when I push something to GitHub. And that brings me to the next thing. I want to create a release workflow. That is probably second most important, because once I have the request suite, I have a release workflow. Well, perhaps I should rename that. What I really want is to have GitHub Actions, build the project, run the tests automatically, and create a package, right? I'm not sure if I want to create a package just now yet. Then I also want to have the scenes that I'm currently having, right? It's not very well organized, and I would just want to split this out in specific features. So I have a scene that tests events, so it's easy for consumers to consumers of the add-in to actually see the examples in work, right, and make sense about this much better. Then obviously I want to use or implement an auto login that kind of checks the login credentials if there are some on disk, as I already have it, and use them, and only if they are expired it would remove the file and relog in, or you have to manually log in. Then I want to add a contributing guide, because I really want people to contribute to this project. So because to be very honest, because I do everything manually for a reason, so it fits the Godot work style a bit better. Right now you would have to manually implement everything, right? All the API calls, and there's a lot, right? So I want to make it very easy for people that use godot-playfab to contribute new requests that they are building to it. So I want to have a contributing guide. How do you do that? And then add documentation and guidance in general, how to use it, make it better, right? Use the individual things. I also want to add godot-playfab to the list of playfab SDKs on the Microsoft website. So there's an official site that says, hey, these are the engines that are supported, and I want to see Godot here, right? Because that allows better discoverability first, but also it shows that people who are investigating playfab, hey, there's something for Godot, great. And because I personally really believe in Godot, and I'm also using that belief internally in my day job at Microsoft to influence that a bit. Okay. So that's that. Then the next thing is I want to review the API. Because when I do a first release, I don't want to change the API interface too much, right? Because whenever I need to change something and people are actually using this in their project, it makes it either I want for them to have an easy and consistent upgrade path, right? Together with tests, I just don't want to break anything for them when they upgrade, but also upgrade should be super straightforward and painless, right? And I think upgrading is already a challenge because of the package management system, or the lack hereof in the Godot ecosystem. And yeah, so I want to make this super simple and consistent. So I don't want to have any API changes if at all possible. And then, as I already said, I want to make batched events to not be lost upon crash or restart, right? So disk persistence. There's been immense, so there was quite a bit feedback coming in from Lencius as well. So yeah, that's great. Cardbob might actually be the first game to be using godot-playfab. I would love to. Okay, so today, what are we gonna do? I've talked a lot about the current state. Oh my god, I talked half an hour about it. I'm good at talking, as you see. So today, the rest of the stream I want basically to be spending on working on unit tests. And if you have never done unit tests, or never done unit tests in Godot for that matter, let's check it out a bit. There is actually two unit test frameworks for Godot, WAT and GUT. So Adrian Darrigan is building WAT. I think it has generally the better documentation, the better API interface. However, it's not as good as GUT. I've seen this. So from a usability perspective, I think WAT is better, but from a feature perspective, it's nowhere near GUT, right? And so I switched to GUT full time now. So yeah, that's how it is. In the end, it's also potentially easier to use. Right? So yeah, one thing that really annoys me with GUT is that I cannot start unit tests now from from here. I think he actually had an extension. I actually have that, but it didn't work that well. But let's try. Oh, okay. Actually, that's great. I just need to fucking configure it. No directories configured. Yeah. Add directories with options or godot-config JSON file. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, let's configure this real quick. I'll show you the in-game or the in-engine interface that is similar. Does the same, but it has the configuration here. That must be oh, this one. Okay, cool. So I just need to find this potentially. Open in File Manager. So we're gonna let's create the godot-config, not git-config, but godot-config. Huh? Where does it run from? Okay, supposedly not from here. What does it? No. Okay, so I can probably just copy this one. The godot-config. Is that it? Oh, just godot-config. Hey, nice. Okay, problem solved. Let's commit. And just because I opened it, weird. So am I on the right branch? Yeah, I also need to kind of adapt to the VS Code GitHub thing. I don't really like it, but one has to adapt. To me, still the best Git experience is JetBrains with the IDEs. It's just amazing. Added CLI dot config. Yeah, come on. You know, I need another extension this is also a suggestion, something I loved with JetBrains editors. There is a extension that helps you learn shortcuts. So whenever you do something manually, it will tell you, hey, there's a shortcut for it, what it is, and how many times you did not use it, right? How many times you did this manually, so you can get a pretty good understanding of how direly you should really be using that shortcut, because you're spending so much time on clicking stuff. Did not have to get a pull request issues. I should have done. That's great. Let's go. Boom. Suggestion. Shortcut. Oh, this is also pretty cool. I really want to have this. Okay, never mind. Okay, I want to see commit stage selector ranges, control K. Control. Oh great, now the shortcuts. Okay. Anyways. So let's get started with unit tests. So JSON serialization from and to objects is the most important for me. So I started testing those. So we have, just so you can see, okay. So I've already started a little bit on the unit test for abstract JSON serializable collection and JSON serializable. Okay. So I'm currently working on JSON serializable. So as you can see, each test needs to start with the word test underscore, and so does this is the file. Needs to be prefixed with that so the unit test runner can find it. And then every test method needs to be, or test function needs to be also prefixed with test underscore. Now, for every test you can do, or every test class needs to extend the test GD of God. And then there is tear down and setup methods. So before each will be run before each and every test method. So before this, and before this. And the same goes for the after each. Right? So this is what is called setup and tear down. And then the before all and after all will only be essentially run once at the start and at the end of all the tests of the test class, right? So before all the tests are run and after all the tests are run. Good. So I think I can welcome a few new watchers. Hello everyone. I'm Structed, or Johannes, working on godot-playfab, an extension for Godot to make playfab easily and naturally usable in Godot. And today I will be working on unit tests. In fact, I'm just getting started. Alright. So, yeah, as some of you know, I have a custom built JSON serializer and deserializer because Godot's JSON serialization does not work recursively, so it cannot go down in data structures, and it cannot really deserialize custom classes at all. It just will spit out the reference ID. So I had to do this on my own, and basically every class that you want to be serializable has to extend from JSON serializable. And JSON serializable has a few has a toDict method and a fromDict method. That is a bit complicated and is also maybe prone to break, right? I want to make sure everything works here, so this is why this is a prime target for unit testing. So what it does here, for example, if you call toDict on a child or on an implementing class, it will recursively go through all properties and see if the property is a value essentially, or another object. If it's a value, it will convert it to a string, add it to a dictionary. If not, it will create a dictionary. So if it's another object, it will create another dictionary, append this to the original dictionary, and then run the serialization or the toDict on the child object. This means all child objects that need to be serializable also need to implement JSON serializable. And yeah, because that does not work with arrays, I also had to make an abstract JSON serializable collection. Yeah. It's all a bit of a hack, as I say here. But, you know, as long as that is not included in Godot, I have to do it like that. So with the new GD extension system, I hope we can do something about that. Okay. So where we at? So we have already 3 tests. So one is just checking the type. The next one is checking whether it is actually returning a dictionary. And now we want to have the exact or the expected dictionary on JSON serialized. So I had also created a JSON serializable implementation with very simple properties. Good, I will probably create multiple of these. I'm sorry. Okay, so this is a very simple value only implementation, so I'm not sure. I should probably do this multiple times. Yeah. So there is also, I think we can also do parameterized tests. So what a parameterized test does is essentially you write the test once and you give it parameters, right? And you run it on different parameters. And I think I'm gonna do this here because then I pass in basically the dictionary, the model that I want to get deserialized to. It's not really, yeah, deserialized or serialized into a JSON, or not in a JSON, in a dictionary. I'm sorry. It's not really serializing; it's marshalling, I would say, or converting. The model that I want to be converted into a dictionary, I can pass it and the expected value as I do it here. So an actual and an expected. Then basically the test just consists of those two lines, and I can like give in all those parameters. So let's look up parameterized tests. But before I do, I need to do a quick break. I have trouble with my voice. It actually hurts a bit. I'll be back in 5 minutes. So I need to set the timer. So let's go. See you in 5 minutes. Oh, welcome back. Well, welcome back. One shouldn't say that. So I also wanted to show you something. I was in London on a trade fair conference last week, and I met one of the Hitman developers, and look what he got me, a little Hitman. Isn't that cool? Even with the barcode on the back of his head. But I need to kind of stick on the pistols by myself. That's not particularly easy. I think I'm gonna do this later, when none of you is watching. Okay, parameterized tests. So here we go. Let me know if the screen size is good enough for you, or if it's hard to read. I think I can zoom in on this a bit. So the question is whether I can do one and only one parameter, okay? So interesting is whether I can use, yeah, either an array of parameters. Okay, I can. So this is a function. Interesting. Okay, cool. I think we can actually do this that way. I'm just not sure if we can implement multiple classes within one file. Godot nested. Happy if you could chime in on the chat if you want. Never worked with inner classes before, so give me a moment. Okay. That is interesting, because that kind of contradicts the class name thing. Okay, but I don't mind. Good. So, so this is actually an old Godot inner class. I have no idea how they work. Why is this? Why Oracle? Do dot. With who? Whatever. Okay, we're gonna find it out. Wrong one. Okay, because I don't want to reuse that too much. So let's see. Class nested prop t. We do this like this. Okay. Oh. So we need to have an object property. Or you know what? I think I'm gonna just use the ones that I already have as a model. It's not necessarily how you should be doing, but I'm sick of doing too many new classes. I'm just gonna do this. So let's get back here. Define those. So we want an array of parameters. Per test it should be 1. And within that we want to have an array as well. Or in fact we could have, because he was talking about named ones. Mm-hmm. A, B. Actual. Expected. And why is this? Does this not work? Ah, I see. More readable, they say. More readable. Mm-hmm. So the first one is the names, and then all the other ones are values. Okay, fair enough. And then you pass it in like that. Okay. This should in fact be the same, so 9 passed should be here. Not invalid call, non-existent function to dict. Why is that? Ah, I see. Okay. This is the problem is that we call model to dict here, but model is not initialized by here. So we would need to do this every time, and that's why we need. Well, no. We just have model in here, and model to dict still be in here. Okay, and here we would use this was the assignment. Okay, good. And actual is P actual and P expected. We can remove this. And now we need to make this a method itself so we can each initialize model here. And that's what generate bar parameters does here. Okay. Well, it's just a function, yeah. But why does it not to have use per? Ah, okay, in here. Yeah, makes sense. Func generate bounds. Oops. Good. Return. Var instance model. Just do this here. Okay, that should work. Good. Oh. Makes sense. It ran through. Um, got the detect call. But that was good because now I knew it was not working before, but it was running the test, and now it works. Okay, wonderful. Now I can commit this. Revert this very change. Let's do this cleanup real quick. So get this out of the way, and then we have parameterized test. One thing I wanted to, oops. I want to kind of prefix this. Good. See how awesome it is to have that splash screen. Cool stuff. Good. Let's commit this. Okay, I kind of like the parameterization. That's cool. How do I amend? Okay, so much easier with the writer. Just need to click a checkbox. Wow. Good. So sure. Okay, whatever. Next one. Next one I'm gonna use a model that has maybe a sub property. This one only has strings. This has an entity key. Okay, I think that's a good example because entity token response has 2 strings and 1 subtype. Good. Oh, is that shit? This is how it should be formatted. I'll change it real quick. Oh, I'm so close. To not be using this. I'll just show you this because it's so much easier. Okay, next one. Oh, can you please unfuck this? Okay, thank you. Oh, funny. I'm not actually using that one. Very funny. Well, this seems to be working. And well, we might do the to dict in here. Good, so the actual is here a, what did I look for? A entity token response. Oh no. I need to create it here. What a shame. Because I need to set the properties. God, what are properties? Oh my god. It's entity. Doesn't really matter what the value is here. It's a string, that does matter. And etr dot entity token. This is token key. Okay, so let's just make entity key. So etr dot to dict is actual, and the expected result would be a dictionary with entity being another dictionary that has a entity token of test and a token expiration of expiration. What's wrong here? So used to it. Okay. Oops. Good, so we have the entity in here and we should have an ID and a type. Oh no. Oh, this is... I'm sorry. This is that. And here we have ID. And we have type. And type is that. And the ID is ASDF. Two failed. Oh, the other one actually. Interesting. So the other one failed as well. Shit. Might not have checked after the last time. How? One array? Two arrays? What? Ah. Okay. Got it, got it, got it. Okay, now that's a bit weird. I'm gonna indent this, otherwise it's gonna be so much weirder. Okay, this way we have a better visibility into that. Okay. So let's make this fail. Okay. Oh. Okay. What? Ah, okay, this one is not failed. Maybe. I was just confused that both were being shown here. Let's make the above one, this one fail as well, so we can see whether this is. Hey, Redstone Pro free? C sharp? What do you mean with C sharp? Why I'm not using C sharp? So I'm not using C sharp because I want it to be super native to Godot, right? And I wanted to be able to, or I wanted to provide a possibility for people who are not using the C sharp version, the mono version of Godot, to also be using godot-playfab. Going forward, this might have been. So this is GD script, yes. And I actually quite like GD script. It's less verbose. I'm a huge .NET fan. You can tell by the shirt, right? But I wanted to be super native. But going forward, it might not have been such a great decision, because what I just read from Kalino, one of the, was it Kalino, I think, or Akin, I don't remember. Someone from the Godot core team is is investing in more in .NET for the new GD extension system, and the GD extension system is pretty cool. Okay, Redstone Pro. I'm not sure whether you're aware what I'm building here. I'm not building a game, by the way. I'm not building a game. I'm building an extension that helps build people a game, right? But to quickly, so I want this extension to be used by everyone who can use Godot, right? And yeah, so the new GD extension system actually was built in a way that C# and NuGet and all of these technologies are no longer really an add-on, right? If that makes sense. So with Godot 4, if I got this right, then you can just use .NET programs within, or DLLs within Godot, which is super awesome, right? So I can write a library in C# and just load the NuGet in GD, in Godot, which would be super wicked. But that would actually mean I would be rewriting this extension. So, well, potentially, very much depends on how you want to do it. But yeah, maybe for everyone who has joined, let's give a quick recap on what I'm doing here. So, listen carefully, Redstone Pro. I am building godot-playfab. Godot-playfab is a extension for Godot that allows you to interface with the most native way possible with Azure and Godot, right? Azure Playfab and Godot. With using signals and all the native things in Godot. With native, I mean Godot native. So you feel at home in Godot when you're using that, because most SDKs for Playfab are actually auto-generated and just a wrapper over the REST API. I'm doing more or less the same, but I'm handcrafting everything for it to feel natural, right? So for everyone who does not know what Playfab is a product by Microsoft that allows you to have a backend as a service, basically. Full disclosure, I work as a technical consultant for large game studios, at Microsoft, right? So I help them build backend systems, and playfab is one of the things that we work with. Also with the Azure cloud in general, right? So I might be biased, but the cool thing about Azure playfab, it is 100% free for up to 100,000 players if you just using basically the basic features. There are things that can be that can create cost, namely, for example, backend scripts or Azure functions. But we have also a idea the Azure program for indie developers where you can register and get a lot of credits. And also Azure functions is so super cheap, like everybody can pay for that. Then has at least some pocket money. It's literally in the euro cents or dollar cent range. So why do I like this very much? Even for single player games, it makes it a lot of sense, because what you can do is you can track events, so you know what your players are doing, which is super important because you want to know what your players are doing, right? If they're actually using a level you have been building, right? Because what is the point if you build a level and nobody's using that? So think about, like, I don't know, Quake, right? If nobody uses a particular I'm an old school guy, I'm sorry. The kids in here probably don't even know what I'm talking about when I talk about Quake. So this is a multiplayer game, multiplayer shooter. You can select the map, right, to play on. Or Counter-Strike, same. If nobody plays the map, right, then why bother even working on it, right? Or if people are not using a specific area but overusing another area, that is certainly in Counter-Strike that happens a lot of times. So you can go ahead and redesign the map, right? And believe me, Valve is doing this a lot with Counter-Strike, right? So they have been, over the decades that Counter-Strike is live now, they have always redesigned the maps to exactly do that, because they find out, hey, there is a new strategy supposedly that works a lot of the time. They know exactly what's happening there, and that counter-terrorists are always winning on a specific map on a specific thing, right? Or more than the terrorists would be winning, so they need to rebalance the map. And this is what you can do with events, for example. I was talking about this earlier. That I've implemented also in godot-playfab. But also it's just like logging in, right? You have basically a publisher view where you can have like accounts on this level, and then have individual games that reuse those accounts with player representations within the game. And you can log in, you can add this with Xbox Live, for example, or Steam or Twitch, right? You can use all of these logins directly. It's all free of charge, right? You can, like, it's super simple to integrate that. I mean, with Steam, you just like enter the Steam application key, enter web API key, and you're good. Yeah, and then as I showed, when you're using playfab, you get those events directly. So just to show you real quick, when I start my demo scene, like, you log in, so you get this, and then here you can directly see that the person is logged in, right? So I can directly drill down here and view the player. So as I said, it's the master player account that spans all of the games, and then within the game you have a title player account that is just for this particular game. And then this one can have characters, for example, right? So like in World of Warcraft or whatever, or in Fortnite, I think you can also have multiple characters. Sorry, I need to eat a drop because my throat is hurting. So yeah, we also have like dedicated multiplayer servers, peer-to-peer parties with a matchmaker, economies where you can build like in-game stores, not necessarily for actual money, but you can do this as well, like for Android or something like that. You can integrate payment with it. It's all included, and you can You can also make a story like in Diablo and Tristram, right? You have a character sell things to you. You can build this in here. You can build leaderboards and other things. Yeah, and then have like really tough data analytics. So this is the basic thing. Like these are the events that I'm generating, for example, or the login events. But you can also do like massive queries here, and you can export this to Azure, for example, and do like import this in an even more sophisticated data analytics solution. Cool. Okay, this was a quick roundup of what I'm doing here. So I'm building this extension and also building some demo scenes here so you actually know how to use it. Good. Where was I? Building unit tests. Actually, I am very happy. Redstone Pro. Redstone Pro 3. How do you pronounce your name? I was actually kind of happy that you chatted me up because I was about to fall asleep. I had a very, very tough week. I was on a game developer event, but I also met someone from IO Interactive who gave me a Hitman. How cool is that? I still need to mount the pistols. Alright. Let's continue with unit tests. Did I mention I'm not a particular super fan of unit tests? But they are super useful. I mean, I'm not a particular fan of writing unit tests. Okay, so I made both fail. Okay, they will be individually failed. Okay, this is great. So now they should be working. Excuse me. Cool, cool, cool. Also, now, watch this. This is the commit experience in JetBrains Writer, which I love for C#. And I work for Microsoft, right? I should really be using Visual Studio, but JetBrains Writer is so much better. I never said that. Good. So, I mean, like these simple features, and I can, if I want to amend, I can just like do this here, right? Click this button, this checkbox, and it takes over the last message, and I can change it. How cool is that? Yeah. Push it. Good. Also, it actually has stuff, shortcuts assigned to it. Okay, next unit test. So I did one with a sub-entity. Cool. What other use cases do we have? Let's look at JSON serializable collection. No. JSON serializable. This is what I'm testing right now. So, I have my sound. Thanks for the follow. You have all those complicated names. I'm sorry. Turemete. I can't pronounce it. I'm sorry. Thanks for the follow. I've turned my sound so loud that I was jumping now by the follow sound that I got. Alright. So, unit tests. For anyone who is not familiar with unit tests help you continuously test things that you that or code that you wrote, right? So you don't have to manually test it. I can now just press a shortcut and it will run the code, right, for me and tell me whether the tests are passing or not, which is a great thing because I've written my own JSON serialization, deserialization because of shortcomings of GD so I needed to, like, it's fairly complicated, right, and I needed to have a way to test that. Good. So we tested whether if it's an object and otherwise if it's a if it's an actual value. So this is the actual value thing and this is the object test. But the object test can also have so we need to also check the other cases, right? So if it's a sub-object, but the sub-object is actually null, then it should also return null, right? This has been a problem for me before. Figuring out this has taken me quite a bit of time because the error reporting of GD script is, well, meh at times. Good. And obviously there is no to-dict functionality in that. So we actually want to. No, this is really. Yeah, okay. So we want to pass in an empty object. So we actually we're not doing anything here. Whoops. That's not right. That's right. So a new array and the expected is actually to have all of these fields, but they're all empty or null. So this one is going to be null. And these will be empty. Let's put in a 1 here and a 1 there and see if it fails, because it should fail. This is how you write unit tests. You write a test, you make it fail, and then you make it unfail. So you know that it was actually executed. Right? Because otherwise you never know if your test was really run. Okay, cool. So that worked. Wonderful, wonderful. see a messed up message here. Huh. How cool is that? Also, I think we want to, because this sucks. I don't want to have an extra line here, but I think I can't do this. Let's check this if I can actually do this. Yes, I can. Okay, so this is cool, but I always want to execute to dict, and I should not need to write that. So actual to dict. Cool thing. Good, because then we can just remove that here. Goody 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 goo. Sorry for the singing. Boom. Moved call of to dict to actual test method function. It is in GD script. Good. Let's comment this a bit. Good. So we did a check for this. We did a check for this. We did not check for this. So what are objects? So we need to put in a non-native object. Like a vector 2, for example. That would, I've never tested these lines. Actually, so I've implemented here these lines. I implemented those. But I never actually tested them. I think we could potentially use a vector 2. Because a vector would be a native object, so it would fall into the category of type object. But it will have no toDict method because it's not implemented on it. Because toDict would only be implemented in JSON serializable usually. Oh, I need to make another class. I don't want to. which is implemented here. Just to test it. Not how you do a new vector. You see how much games I've developed. By code. Is there no new? What's wrong? It's not how you implement it? Oh. Okay, good. Fair enough. This should fail most of the some tests. Yeah. This one. And it should really be x one and y should be 2. I'm writing a 0 because I want it to fail. Okay, so it doesn't work as intended. Why is this not printed? I wanted to fill, that's why I'm doing this. Because I don't think I can use debugger here. Test might not have been a great output in tests. Yeah. Is the debug good? Oh. But what we can do is, I want to debug this real quick. I actually want to see if we're coming through here, because I'm not actually 100% sure. I am sorry. What am I doing? Oh, no, still not. Oh. I'm not sure if this is actually running in debug mode. Can you set this here? Oh, thank you very much. Ah, yeah, that very much helps. Vector2 is type vector2. Ah, yeah, okay, this helps. I should actually implement a case for that. Cool, cool. Where are the type definitions? Are they here? Yeah, that's what, yeah, that was a good hint. Yeah, with the new keyword, in fact. Yeah. I wonder, maybe to make, do you have an idea what other objects are type object than my own ones? Are there any built-in objects? Potentially everything that is object? I mean, that is from the base object type. Yeah, there are so many. I actually need to implement all of them. Great. So this is I need to make a task on them. And I also need to make a task on them. Yeah, sure. Yes, you're right, but you know, there's this type object. I wonder if type object, what is type object, right? I mean, it's certainly the ones that I create as a user, but are there any built-in type objects? You know what I mean? So basically anything that inherits from object, but yeah, it says here. Okay, cool. Yeah, it says here which ones inherit from object. Yeah, yeah. Cheers, man. Okay. Um. just a bug I'm filing here that I saw earlier, but I don't wanna be bothering with yeah, bore you with that right now. Now implement all type enum cases in to dict. So permalink, okay. I need a refine label. Good. If anyone doesn't know what I'm working on, let me know in chat and I'll give you a walkthrough. But we're working on godot-playfab. Okay, Rem. Okay, so quick walkthrough. In my daily job, I work a lot with game developers, primarily with double and triple A studios. I work at Microsoft as a technical consultant for backends and multiplayer and stuff. We have this very great thing that is called Azure Playfab, right? And I love to work on my own games with it, right? I'm actually building a game with my brother. Actually a board game implementation as a PC game. And I wanted to use Playfab, right? Because Playfab is a, for the most part, free backend only when you're successful, meaning when you have more than 100,000 players, you usually pay for it, right? So that's that. I'll link it over here. And it has a lot of cool features, like even for a single player game, you have real-time analytics and things like that, where you can find out what your players are doing by actually using specific features of your game, right? Or you can react upon those. But you can also do like multiplayer things and authentication and with Steam, with Xbox or with PlayStation or whatever. Yeah, you can implement or hook up other OpenID providers, for example. Or yeah, this is super cool. You can reuse the same accounts over multiple games, because then so this is the master player account, but every game, what we call title here, it has its own representation of that particular account. And then you can have like characters on it. A player can have an inventory, right? And you can store data on the title. You can also do balancing variables on the title, so you can do this here, or you can put in use. So like in your game splash screen, so in your main menu, you often see kind of news, what is happening in the game and stuff. You can set this up and localize it here even. Yeah, so it's super powerful. All of this comes for free, right? And people are actually using Firebase, for example, right? I think it's so complicated. I recently saw someone using Firebase. It's so complicated for them to use that, and it actually costs money, and you don't even pay for this, right? So yeah, go use it. Ask me questions about it. I'm more than happy to help. So because Playfab has integrations in Unity and in Unreal, right? And it's very sophisticated, but actually it is just, for the most part, a wrapper around, or it uses the C# SDK, which is just a C# wrapper around the REST API. And it's very uninspiring, because it doesn't actually use the language's features, right? Or the native way how you work, so it feels a bit alien to work with it. And I always found that sucks, right? And specifically, I've been working with the C# SDK quite a bit, and there's so many like models duplicated because they're actually the same, but they're named differently in the REST API spec. So I figured this is bullshit, right? Why should users like need to cast different models just because they are named differently, but they're exactly the same, and it just confuses folks. So I want to solve these things, and I want to make it usable with the things that you're used to be using in Godot, right? So I've created these demo scenes. Let me quickly walk you through them. So do this here. So you can register, for example. You can log in. Then I can like view the balancing variables of the title here. I can send telemetry events or playstream events. Playstream events are particularly cool because you have the playstream monitor, and these are the ones that you can actually see and react upon, right? So you could, like, when such an event comes in, I can actually react upon those with backend code, with Azure Functions, for example. So I'm doing this here. There's actually event batching. You will see them pop up here. Here, this is when the second batch actually came in. So I'm clicking here a couple of times, it will batch those events and send them in batches, right? Cool, yeah. So that's that. And telemetry events are the same, basically, but cheaper. But you don't see them. It's just for data collection. Yeah. Go check it out. And for indie developers, by the way, there's also, I'm shamelessly plugging here, but it really saves you money. I'm also doing this in my work time, strictly speaking, so it's kind of work. So you can apply here, and you can get a lot of credits, up to 5,000 credits for using Azure and Playfab, and get premium support and everything for indie developers, if you are one. Cool. Okay, let's carry on. I really want to work on this. I don't want to be advertising Azure too much. So, okay. So yeah, we have this ticket. I'm just figuring out now. Okay, we wanted to check. Oh, one thing I wanted to show. I'm sorry. So when, for example, so how to use that is essentially you just pull in a new node, right? A Playfab client or a Playfab event if you just want to do the events later on, right? So in this case, I have a Playfab client in here, and this is the login screen, right? So I can just like link up the signals here, which is super cool. And this is not something that you would be able to do with a C# wrapper, right? It would not have any signals registered. Yeah. So this is why I wanted to do that, right? And handcraft everything. I also want to, here is just currently a model builder that makes it easy for me to integrate new models, but I actually want to integrate some admin features in here as well, right? Like upload like configuration data, like here in the title data. I want you to be able to like upload new values here, and actually basically this functionality, upload and download the JSON values. So because you as a game designer want to also potentially work within the Godot engine, right? And test out things. Good. Let's carry on. So we wanted to see. Oh great, I closed it. Stupid me. It's a list. So what is an easy thing to be checking out? Maybe IP? So so this does not actually have any properties. Am I reading this right? Which would be cool, because then I can just use it. Let's try. Then I can also remove this shit. And just make a new one. And this will actually be empty. And actually it will just be the property, which is weird. I don't actually know what is the result of that. What is the result of that? And do I want this? I don't. So it's probably a reference, just a reference string. Let's see. But I think it's just a no, I don't want to show the help. It's just a, I think it's just a reference ID. Not interesting. Is it just what happens here? So but then it should not crash. Ah, fuck. It crashes here. Okay. It's bad. Obviously. So I will probably never be able to. It's just. Ah! Okay, this is a different test altogether. Okay, good. Makes sense. Oops. Good. Okay. Func test 2. I've never tested this, but I think this is wrong with the subprop, returning the subprop, because it will just return the instance ID, which is maybe it's not wrong, because the instance ID is still the best thing one can get if it is like that. But I also really want to throw an error here, because developers should be noticing that ahead of or when they implement, like me, when I implement when I serialize something that is not serializable to JSON, right? I really want to know, because otherwise I'm gonna be wasting time. Ask me how I know. Good. Do. Okay, always use superverbose names in tests that describe exactly what is expected. Hands up, who loves pass? This is one of the best things I've ever seen in a programming language, because if you want to just do stuff like that, it's just fucking awesome. Love it. So, doing something that is not yet implemented. What did I do wrong? Good. Okay, so why is my declaration bad? It's not. Interesting. Oh, that's fine. This is what I wanted. So, actually the same. No. Actual is okay. So we have an IP. And this is this object to oh shit. No, I need a custom object with a property that has an IP or another built-in object. Oh, shit. Okay, let's build it. No, in fact, I think I do this as a subclass. Because otherwise I'm getting into a mess. Not with building object, with built-in object. Good. We have an IP property. Doesn't have a constructor, which I find weird. Well, that's about it. What's the problem? Yeah. What is problem? Yeah, that's the problem. Hovering over the wrong thing. Condition, what is true? Code 25, please report. I don't want to report bugs. Great. What is that? Anyone seen this before? Error condition not NC is true breaking. Call modules GD script function CPP. So T2. I don't have the source here. Opcode 25, please report. I don't want to. Just saving this for later. But let's see. I have a feeling this is because of the IP class. Plain node is implementing then. Great. Okay, let's use a node instead. Let's see. Okay, non-existent function in base node. So far, so expected. But I'm checking for this. So why is this failing? Anyone knows? To remate, you maybe. Because I'm actually checking for the method to dig before I'm calling it. So I'm actually checking if a object of type object has a method to dict. If it does not, we should be dropping down to here. But I'm getting an error, non-existent function to dict in base node. Which is strange. So it's obviously calling it. So that's a bit weird. So either has method does not do what it says, or Yeah, I mean, it obviously doesn't do what it says, or I'm using it wrong, but it says returns true if the object contains the given method, but Node does definitely not have a method to dict. I mean, does it? No, it doesn't. And obviously it doesn't. Ah! Thank you. Good point. Good point. Oh my god. Oh my god, thank you. Oh shit. Thank you so much. That's fine. No, that's an orphan. It's so cool that this test framework tells you when there's an orphan. Can I make inappropriate jokes? Probably not. Oh. Good. Okay. I mean, yeah, obviously this should not be equal. It is not a native object. Please implement a toDict method. That's what I want to do. But what is actually the value? Let's check this. Should be a reference ID, I guess. Yeah, let's note something. Good. Okay. I think I want to keep this because it's good, because then you can really identify what exactly is the issue. Hey, anyone knows how to get the class name of an object you implemented? So when I define, like here, my JSON serializable, I give it a class name. Is this something I can read somewhere? Because I've not found a method to do that, or an option to do that. Cool, now I need to find a way to kill the orphans. Kill all the orphans. Oh, no. I did the inappropriate joke, I'm sorry. Accidentally. Yeah, that was my experience. Oh, I didn't think about the get class thing. Yeah, exactly. Actually, let me think about this. Yeah, this is a good hint, because now what I did was for models that contain subproperties that are objects, like entity token response, I have this mapper function that retrieves the type. But if you say, yeah, it's a good idea to override get class. because those are custom types anyways, then this would totally make sense, because then I can do it on these objects. Yeah, sounds like a plan. Thank you. Right. I think I'm gonna do a little break in a minute or two. So I'm gonna fix this, then I'm gonna do a little break. Also fixing the offense. So what I want to do is to actually check for the partial string. I think I need a regex probably. So this is the result. Oops. So we have a node and a couple of digits. And we want it to be the whole string. Okay, no match here. Great, that's what I want. Copy the example. Let's see. No, it's not part of the string. This is actually an object here. Actual will be, oh no, actual.node will be an object because that's how I return it here. Here, see, I just returned the property. But I think I'm gonna go now and do the get class. Let's see, get class. For a built-in one, what does it return actually? Does it actually return for the name for built-in one? So node in this case. Too much noise. Free viewers now? What do you mean? Or orphans? Did you mean orphans? I know, I don't care about the orphans now. We're gonna kill them all. This is really bad. And no, just realizing bad. I don't care about the orphans. I'm gonna kill them all. It's probably out of context. Not something. Right here. Okay, it says node. I do very much care about orphans in real life. Okay, so yeah, that works. So it actually returns node, which is cool. So I really what is this? I need to oh, do I? It's funny because it shows me a lot more. Thank you. What are you? Did I lose them all, or what are you saying? Did I have more than that? I don't actually know. That's two actually now, just two of you. No, then I only have one. Bye. Redstone Pro. Yeah, it's people stop working now. I think that's why. I should probably close my stream then too. To our mate, you probably also stop working soon. I think I'm doing my. Hey, thanks for the follow. Are you watching during work? Or are you? I still don't know what you meant, Redstone Pro. Maybe you can answer this real quick. Because what you meant with free views now, did I have more before or less? Because Streamlabs shows me like, I don't know, 15 people in the chat. Those are only in the chat, I think, maybe. Not actual viewers. Oh god, yeah, it's 2 viewers. Yeah, I do have 2 viewers, 2 actual viewers. Oh, you're 16? I'm unfortunately more than double as old. Good. Cool. I want go kill some orphans now. I'm starting to get the hang of it. Where are you watching from if you say in the evening? Germany. Where are you located in? Oh, Vietnam. Oh, cool. Vietnam is actually a country I would love to go sometime. This is like generally Asia I've never been to. Except, well, I've been to India, to be fair, but Vietnam, I would love to go there. I love lush rainforest and the mentality and the food. Love to go there. Are you? Very good. Yeah, we have a small kid and my wife is not too fancy about traveling with her. Maybe I can get her to travel in the summer. That would be awesome. Love to go. So, how to kill orphans. Ah, here we go, orphans. More orphans. Test not as yeah. I still need to. Are you like living in a oh, new viewer, hi new viewer. This is something I need to find out in Streamlabs, how to actually see the viewer names versus the folks in chat names. Good, okay. Oh. I don't actually need insert here. I'm still unsure what I should be doing here. If I should be doing a hard crash and fail here, or return just the node ID or the class name, because really you should be catching this up front. Strange. I think I'm just gonna return a name. It's fine. So the assert equals node. So let it fail intentionally. Ha! Actual node. Of course. Very good. Okay. Cool. Yes, I did, but it's unfortunate. So to made I did see inst to dict and dict to inst, but they do not work properly. So if I remember correctly, I actually wrote a tweet to Akin on that, because he was saying the same. But I think those do not do this recursively. Yeah. Insta-dict does not handle nested objects, and all dict to inst needs a path, and likely the try will not handle nested objects well either, I guess. May be faster than my solution, but a lot less flexible for my use case. So that's that. But thanks for the tip. I will, so for Godot 4, I have a hunch that I will rewrite all of this in .NET. So, I mean, I've learned a lot about Godot with writing this, or Godot internals, what's possible, what's not. Yeah. So next time will be faster, I think. Also learned a lot about playfab. Right. This is, by the way, one of the reasons I can do this in my basically work time, because first of all, I'm creating something that people can then use to use Microsoft's product. But the other thing is I am a technical consultant also on this on playfab, right? And I need to be able to work with specific engines. So if someone wants to, in my professional capacity, ask me, hey, dude, how can I work with playfab, or how can I work with Godot and playfab, I need to have an answer, right? And I'm training myself, right? Because you can only be an expert if you're actually using shit. And since I don't have like games I'm working on anymore, a lot, or a lot less than when I was professionally making games, then yeah, I need to train on that. Good. By the way, Tourmate, are you kind of professionally working on games, or are you indie developer? What do you do? What's your relation? I'm sorry for the mic thing. What's your relation to Godot? Got it. Many abandoned projects. Oh, tell me about it. I don't know if public folks can see this, but I have like 50 GitHub projects. It's not because I complete them all, anything. And I mean, you know, even in professional game development, I have 2 games that have seen the light of day, right? But I've worked on a lot more, I can tell you that. Some git commit credits to you, Tormate. Please stop answering on that thread. It totally weirds me out. No, it just shows me. Because I clicked the answer thing. Never mind. I always thought it is you answering on a thread. Because the chat widget of Streamlabs is weird. Do 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 do. Okay, everyone. I think so. I wanted to do a break like half an hour ago. Instead, I think I'm. Until when did I actually schedule my my stream? Was it until 5 my time? I keep forgetting this. I think it was till 5. Good. Yeah, whatever. So I'm going to do half an hour, then going to quit it. Oh, actually, I was supposed to do until 4. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna clean up a little bit, and then I'm gonna call it quits for today. So, where are we? So what I want to do is this. I don't like. I should not be using one of the models. I think I'm gonna do an inner class. On the JSON serializable pull. Class with object property extends JSON serializable, and it has a var node. No, it's not node, it's object. And the type will be class did I do? Or just enabled something on Twitch. Good. Now. Okay. So I'm, instead of a entity token response, I'm gonna use a with object property, object with has then a subproperty as property. So just oh. I don't actually need all of this. Great. And the expected one is, because we don't actually have this. What did I do wrong? Actually, I think I need to move the to dict out of here again. Because it doesn't show me. Ah, now I've found the problem. Because it didn't show me the values that are being passed in. That sucks a bit. No, I'm not doing this. It helps me debug, but it's not good. Huh. Okay. So let's call this subject, object, and call it here. Okay. So subprop should be null here. Here we go. Why did those fail? What's the fucking problem? So it has a subprop that is null and fill bar. This used to work. Interesting, interesting. Why is this not working? I don't want to start a discussion. Go away. This is so stupid that it reports the inputs here. Once again, I need to do this. Boom, boom, boom. Then at least see some of it. I don't understand. It is called subprop. And is foo and bar. I don't understand. And it worked before, I think. Okay, turn everything, yeah. Oh, not so far. So this used to work, I think. Oh. Oh, I know why it didn't work. Because I'm setting it here. Let's do it this way. Okay. Now this can be done away with. It's going on parse error where? Here. Oh, yeah. Run on. Ah, not unset, but not set. Oh yeah, sure. Call it sub prop. Yay. Good. last push for today. Yeah, I hope it was a cool thing for you. Leave me a follow if you haven't already. I will be streaming development of godot-playfab again next Friday. For everyone who wants to check it out, here's the link in the chat. Please do feel free to create issues if you are interested in it. Do leave a star here or watch the repo. Whatever you think would be an interesting feature to add, let me know. Have a look at the roadmap, and I hope I can very soon finish a first proper alpha release, so to say. Alright, see you next Friday. Until then, have a good time and a wonderful weekend. Bye bye. Thanks for joining, everyone, particularly Turme and Redstone Pro for contributing. Cheers.